All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, after seven straight playoff appearances, the Atlanta Braves began this MLB season expecting to get to the postseason for an eighth consecutive year. But here in the early stages of this MLB campaign, Atlanta definitely has their work cut out for them. After the first week of the season, we're talking about a Braves team that is the only team right now in Major League Baseball that has yet to enjoy a post game victory line. 7 games for the Braves and 7 instances where they've left the field watching their opponent celebrate. It was and it has been a brutal start to this season for the Braves. They started on the West Coast first with 4 games against the San Diego Padres and then with 3 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Braves have lost those games, and ironically, both the Braves and Dodgers are undefeated at the moment. Okay. This is the worst start for the Braves since 2016 when they began that year by losing their first 9 games en route to losing 93 games that year. Now, yes, we are still in the infant stages of this MLB season. And yes, it's only 7 games, but no team in MLB history has lost their first 7 games of the season and been able to rebound in order to make the postseason that year. Now, trust me when I say this, the Braves are much better than what their record currently indicates. But to quote former NFL head coach Bill Parcells, you are what your record says that you are. And it's been a tough go so far for the Braves for a variety of reasons. CJ, what's going on, my man? Welcome back. Happy MLB season to you. And of course, I'm talking about a topic that is near and dear to your heart, your precious Atlanta Braves. And of course, it's been a tough go for Atlanta so far. The Jurickson Profar suspension really does not help things. You've already got guys like Ronald Acuna Jr. who are trying to get back from injury. The same thing can be said for a guy like Spencer Strider. The Braves have just been hit with some injuries so far, and on top of that, they just have not played good. Yes, they've lost to some very good teams, but at the same time, Atlanta has really not played good. Listen, you're saying the Braves should have kept Max Fried. Absolutely. I just don't think that the Braves were willing to spend the money to get him or to keep him rather, like the New York Yankees did. And I guarantee you right now, the Braves are definitely missing one Max Fried. But at the end of the day, to your point, it's still early. Yes, there's plenty of time for Atlanta to go out there and right this ship. And in my opinion, if there was any team in baseball history that could begin the season by losing their first 7 games and turn it around to make the postseason, it could be the Braves because the talent is there. Last year, we saw the New York Mets lose their first 5 games of the season, and by late May, they were 11 games under 500. But over the second half of the season, we saw the Mets become one of the hottest teams in baseball. They got into the playoffs and they got all the way to the NLCS, and they were just 2 games away from winning the National League pennant. So the Braves have the talent to get it done. It's just a matter of getting ahead of this thing. You look at it, you're 0-7, yes, but you can't get too down on yourself because the Braves, pardon me, the Padres and Dodgers are 2 of the better teams in baseball. And I'm not just saying that because both of them are undefeated. We know that the Dodgers came into the season as the defending champs. We know that the Dodgers really upgraded their roster, especially the pitching staff, over the winter. So the Dodgers are going to be right there in contention to win again. I picked the Dodgers to win well over 100 games this year. I got the Padres winning more than 90 games as well. So when it's all said and done, we're talking about 2 very good quality teams, and unfortunately for Atlanta, they came up short. They didn't play well on that West Coast trip. And you could slice it any way you want. The Braves didn't hit and they didn't pitch. I mean, you're talking about it 33 hits through the 7 games, only 14 runs through those 7 games. And right now we're talking about a Braves team. It's yes, it's 7 games, but Atlanta as a team is batting well under 200. They have an on-base percentage just above 250. That's not going to get it done. One time, a little bit more than one time now through the rotation. It hasn't been good so far. To give you an idea, Chris Sale, he's the only one who's had 2 starts, but he's a leader in the clubhouse in ERA, and his ERA is at 5.40. That's going to get fixed, okay, because Chris Sale is too good of a pitcher, been around the block, and he knows how to get it done. So the question is going to be, will Atlanta be able to put this slow start behind them? And CJ, to your point, you still got more than 150 plus games left. Okay, 155 to be exact. So at the end of the day, if you're the Braves, you can't worry about your record. You can't worry about what other teams are doing. Basically, just go out there, win games, and win series. And I think it starts for them tomorrow night when they host the Miami Marlins at home. It's hard to believe, but they got a 3 game set with the Marlins, and then right after that, they've got a 3 game set with the Philadelphia Phillies. And I know it's early April, but this is an important series right here for the Braves. They're already 5.5 back of Philadelphia in the division. There's plenty of time left. Yes, don't get me wrong, but you don't want to start taking on more water if you're the Braves. You want to try to find a way to get in front of this thing. Now, again, 150 or more than 150 games left. The Braves are in that category. It's about 10 teams, give or take, that have yet to play a game at home, and Atlanta is in that mix. So you know what? Hopefully, for their sake, getting back and getting some home cooking, will allow them to get back on track. Like I said, you don't want to fall too far behind the Phillies, and if you're the Phillies and the Mets, of course, the Mets are another team that are expected to be in contention in the East. You want to try to put as much distance between yourself and Atlanta right now. You want to try to put them in a hole. But with that said, getting back to what I was talking about earlier, no team in MLB history has come back after losing their first 7 games of the year in order to make the postseason. However, we are talking about the expanded postseason era right now because, of course, in the days where you had to win your league to get to the World Series, or even the days when there were only 2 divisions in each league and you had to win your division to get to the playoffs, you would be really up a creek right now. But we're talking about a scenario where you got 3 wild cards in each league. Okay. And 85 games might do it. However, on the flip side of that, I do expect the National League to be very competitive this year. I talked about it just before the start of the season. I expect the Mets, the Phillies, the Padres, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and the San Francisco Giants, along with the Braves, okay, to be in the mix for postseason spots. Not to mention the National League Central with the likes of the Cubs and the Brewers, especially the Brewers. Okay, so when it's all said and done, if you're the Braves, you got to start putting some W's on the board. You got to start getting ahead of this thing, and that's the beauty of sports. As easy as it is to get in a slump, it's the same thing to get out of a slump. You get a win, you get a break here, you win a game, you win 2 in a row, and the next thing you know, you got yourself a streak. So they can't look at it tomorrow when they take the field against the Marlins and think, I got to go out there and win this game in order to get back to 500. No, you're in a hole, yes, but you can't think about it like that. You can't go out there and play hero ball. You just got to go out there and simply do your job. And there's plenty of baseball left. But you just don't, like I said before, you just don't want this thing to get away from you. So I think, Brian Snicker, he's been there long enough with the Braves to the standpoint that he knows the tenor of this team. He knows he's going to get some guys back, and I think he's got to keep his team calm. He's got to keep his team focused on the task at hand. And at this point, when you've lost 7 in a row like this, there could be a tendency for guys to go out there and start pressing, trying to do too much. You don't want to do that. You want to go out there and simply do your job. Whatever your pregame routine is, stay with it. Maybe at the very least, maybe adjust your batting practice sessions, things like that. You could tinker with, but nonetheless, if you're the Braves, you still got time. But again, you still have time, but you don't want to relax too much. And like I said before, it's early April, but that series already with the Philadelphia Phillies is looming big. But nonetheless, very slow start for the Braves. They had two tough teams out of the chute, but still, you got to go out there and win some of those games. But at the same time, for Atlanta, they have themselves in an early hole. They're dealing with injuries. They're dealing with some big time adversity right now. So let's see how the Braves respond to all of that. And let's see if they can get back on track or get on track rather and try to make some noise here in 2025. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365, and you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. CJ, as always, I appreciate you chiming in. I know you wear your Braves emotions on your sleeve, and hopefully, for your sake, the Braves can get on track and give you something to cheer about this season. But once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.